Before my brain injury, I never consciously thought of using strategies. They just came to me. And um, after my brain injury, I have a hard time thinking about strategies for a task or for a goal. Why are strategies important after a brain injury, and how can they help me compensate for my deficits?
Yeah, I think I understand what you mean. I have actually found that for many brain injury survivors, understandably, having to put new strategies in place can be almost a source of frustration, um, particularly if prior to the injury they were very independent or the kind of person who could remember things very easily. It can be difficult to adjust to the idea that one has to do things in a different way now. And I think, as I've said before, it is important to acknowledge that, and that people that are going through that are kind to themselves in that process of learning. Having said that, I think it's also helpful to keep in mind that all of us, regardless of whether we have a brain injury or not, all the time are using strategies to manage everyday life. I, for example, rely very heavily on various apps on my phone to remember appointments and commitments, and I have a routine to my day that really helps me to feel more in control. It is just that, as you said, I think before a brain injury, people were not always aware that they were using strategies, or perhaps didn't have to apply the same level of conscious effort to make sure that they were using them consistently and systematically. In terms of how strategies can help you to compensate um, for your difficulties, I like to explain that by comparing a brain injury to an earthquake hitting a city. I haven't invented this analogy, by the way. But yeah, unfortunately, the earthquake has damaged lots of the different roads and knocked down many of the bridges of the city that help people to travel from one place to another. So now, to be able to get to places, the inhabitants have to either build new interconnections or find alternative, less trafficked but slightly longer roads. And this might mean that now it takes them a bit more time to get from A to B, but at the same time, they can still travel. So, in the same way, after a brain injury, you can apply strategies so that you can try and find new alternative ways of doing things, continue traveling in your value direction, the direction that you want your life to take, and achieve your goals along the way. It can be a challenging process, which is probably much easier said than done. But eventually, it can also be very rewarding and make you stronger as the result.